Good morning and welcome to our panel entitled Ladlad, the Optics of Gender. Before I introduce the first speaker who will give his 8-minute presentation, I'd like to invite those who will need simultaneous translation to just please approach that side. The staff can give you your headphones. And now I'd like to explain or give a brief background for this panel. In the 1990s, to contribute to the Ladlad Series, which is the title of a book and the title of this panel, to contribute to that series was almost like the official coming out for Filipino gays. And we have come a long way since. Today, in the 21st century, the queer are a force to reckon with socioeconomically and politically. I would like to introduce the first speaker. Danton Remoto is the author of River Run, a novel, The Heart of Summer, Stories and Tales, and Boys Love, a novel. He also translated 3 classic Tagalog novels into English, Banaag at Sikat by Lope Santos into Radiance and Sunrise, Mga Ibong Mandaragit by national artist Amado V. Hernandez into The Praying Birds, and Luha ng Buwaya by Hernandez into Crocodile's Tears. He was an associate professor of English and Communication at Ateneo de Manila University and a professor of journalism at the Manila Times College and a professor of design communication at Southwestern University FINMA in Cebu City. Ladies and gentlemen, Danton Remoto.
Thank you. You know when they talk about like I was professor, I was dean, I was even college president for 5 years, and then people ask me, you made Ladlad? Because Ladlad means coming out, to unfurl the cape behind you. I just came back from the UK in 1991 and I was looking for gay books in the Philippines. There were none. No gay books. There were gay horoscopes. Horoscope, Aries meets Pisces and they lived happily ever after. Books like that. There were books against gays. You will go to hell, with pitchfork and flames, etc. So I contacted Neil Garcia from the State University. I said, Neil, let's make a gay book. And we contacted Karina Bolasco of Anvil. And then it took us 1 year to put it together because nobody wanted to submit. Number 1, some of them wanted to use pseudonyms. One wanted to call himself Barbara Streisand. Another said, no, but I'm Jodie Foster. The third one is, of course, Mariah or Whitney, no? I said, no. Editorial policy, use your real names, except in 2 cases. One is a seminarian, whom we had to protect because he would be booted out of the seminary, so religion. The other is a member of the New People's Army, the Communist Front, and I invited him to write about gay marriage in the Communist Party. So they were asking me, why did you publish the communists? Because they're also gays. I said, no. It has to be open. There was no word such as inclusive before. No. Remember, this was 1990s Philippines. No. Catholic country, conservative, and everything. So I went to the UK and took a degree in publishing. And we were taught these things, how to market. So when did we launch Ladlad 1? During Holy Week in the Philippines. Holy Monday, when Jesus Christ was being brought to the temple, we had the launching of Ladlad 1. I invited the Philippine national artist, Francisco Arceliana, because I needed someone honorable, right? And he said, this is a book that you should read, etc. We had 2,000 copies. In 3 weeks, it's gone. Like the sales girls would tell me, sir, I was so shocked because these men who buy Ladlad, they're so masculine. I said, oh, they're masculine gays. Maybe even your boyfriend is gay. You don't know, no? And then I got a grant Fulbright to go to the US. I went to west of Hollywood, WeHo, and I saw these gay bookstores. I entered, and they were selling Ladlad for so expensive, like $50 each. And this gentleman said, hey, there's like these gay books in the Philippines. Would you like to buy? I said, no, I made them. I said, so. So we started it, Ladlad 1, 2, 3, and 4. I think we've sold like 30,000 copies, no? It's a lot. And Ladlad is now a common word, no? It even became the name of our political party. I ran for public office. I lost by 5,000 votes, no? Yeah, I lost by 5,000 votes. And those who won, you know what they told me? You did not buy votes? Of course I did not buy votes. They said you should have bought votes. But it's so embarrassing because you called me dean and professor and, to buy votes. No? Ladlad is now a common word in the Philippines. No? I'm not saying I invented it. No? But the book, that book really like I went to Singapore and US to teach, and the Filipinos there, we were hiding your book under our pillows at night because our parents would disown us. It was a book that they considered as a friend. Remember in the 1990s, there were no chat groups. 1994, there was no internet. There was nothing in the Philippines, no? There were gay bars, but sometimes the policemen would go there, and our lawyer is here, no? Attorney Pichay. The policeman would go there and bring all these gay men in the police stations, and Attorney Pichay and I and some lawyers would go there and tell them, please release them because beyond 18 hours is illegal detention and we will sue you. And then they said, but professor, what was inside are these, these straight men and these gay men, and they're having commercial sex? No, those are all gay men. But why do they look straight? Well, people are different, no? But that has changed, no? Now we have many, supporters in Congress and Senate, but still no LGBT rights bill. And these gentlemen have written newer books on LGBT and on gay life. Younger writers, maybe more daring than our books, no? Because whenever I read Ladlad now, I would say, oh my God, I did this. Can we show the cover of the books that shocked the Philippines 30 years ago? This one, the model didn't want to see his face. So I paid him a lot of money, I paid him like $100 in 1994. I said, show your nipples and a bit of your pubic hair. I said, but we will. This photocopied. His face he didn't want to show. I paid him $100, but he didn't want to show. This one sold a lot of copies. Number 2, please. This one, the publisher said, oh, can we talk about less sex and more faith and friendship? Faith in God, friendship. This did not sell, no? This one maybe sold like 3,000 copies. And we covered underwear because some people complain, why do you put boys in underwear? I said, do you want them naked? Number 3, please. This one is inspired by a Hollywood movie, no? So it's artsy-fartsy. It did not sell too, no? So when we become serious, we don't sell. Maybe that's one thing in publishing. Last one, please. This one, the young people like this, no? The best of Ladlad, those 2 boys with their hands in each other's pockets. This one was the last Ladlad, the best of. And then I stopped making gay books because everywhere I go, people ask me, can you write me a gay book? Huh? Again? So, yeah, that's me. Well, that's, okay, I'll explain why my face is there, no? In the 1990s, when I went to publishing school, we were told that the covers of our book should be like CD, no? CD still? Those things? So they said, we'll put your face on the cover and we'll have these suggestive flowers around you. You're in the middle of this flower, no? Remember, my father was a military general, no? So when he saw this, he just said, okay, you do these things. Do you make money? I said, yes. Oh, that's good. He said, that's all. And my mother was an awardee of the Pope. So this is my background. My mother just told me, it's okay, my dear child, Monday to Friday you do these things, but every Sunday you go to church. So every Sunday, I go to church. So time is up. We always end with God. Thank you.
Thank you. Let me now introduce the next speaker. Ian Rosales Casocot is a fictionist and teaches film, literature, and creative writing at Silliman University in Dumaguete City, Philippines. He has won several Palanca Awards for his fiction plays and children's poetry. He was writer-in-residence for the International Writers Program of the University of Iowa in the United States in 2010. He has produced the film documentary City of Literature, directed by the Chinese filmmaker Xiao Louis Liu. He is profiled in the literature volume of the Cultural Center of the Philippines Encyclopedia of Philippine Arts. Ian, you have 8 minutes.
Thank you so much. Can we go to the next, to the first slide, please? So my talk is about embodying the third wave of Philippine gay literature. What does it mean? What is third wave? There's a first wave, and there's a second wave. I am the third wave. Well, a lot of us here are actually the third wave. I'll try to explain in a few. Let's go to the next slide. I have to begin with this. That's me. That's me when I was in college, okay? Still 17, still virginal, okay? And in 1994, I actually made my brother, who's gay, buy a copy of Ladlad. And it came to me wrapped in brown paper, like contraband, like bowel toy, like you know. So, like it was really wrapped like as if it was a secret gift. Okay, my brother gave it to me, and that was actually the first time that I read gay literature by Filipinos, and it blew my mind. And actually, for me, it gave me permission actually to write my own gay stories, because finally, with the publication of Ladlad, edited by Jezreel Garcia and Danton Remoto, it felt like I was given permission to do my own gay stories because I'm a gay writer. So thank you for actually making possible, the writing of gay stories for many Filipino boys like me, like that virginal Ian over there, back in 1994. Next slide, please. Okay, so, and like Danton said, they came out with 2 more volumes. And I actually was so happy to actually be part of the 3rd volume, Ladlad 3, which apparently did not sell. And the thing about my contribution for that particular anthology is that I actually contributed a children's story about a gay rabbit who fell in love with a skunk or something. Okay, a different rabbit. So that will actually goes to show the range of literature they were publishing in the latter series. Okay, so a gay children's story in Ladlad 3. But for me, I was just so happy to be part of history in the making, gay literature. I was part of it. I was inspired by the book in 1994. A few years later, I was part of Ladlad 3. And that gave me so much happiness. Next slide, please. Okay, so in the first volume, however, this is actually Jezreel Garcia, the co-editor of Danton Remoto for all the Ladlad books. In the introduction to the first volume, he actually kind of mapped out what he called the 3 waves of gay literature in the Philippines, okay? And according to him, the first wave of gay literature in the Philippines is what he calls the hidden gay literature. And he actually kind of exemplified that in his books, Philippine Gay Culture, which also came out in 1994. And in 2012, he came out with this anthology titled Aura, the gay theme in Philippine fiction in English, where he basically tried to unearth the hidden gay literary tradition in the Philippines. Gay writers who were not open, but were secretly writing gay novels, gay poetry, and so on and so forth, like the national artist Jose Garcia Villa. He wrote a lot of gay stories, very raunchy ones actually. So he unearthed all of those things because nobody paid attention to them. They were hidden. So the first wave of gay literature in the Philippines is hidden gay literature. And let's go to the next slide. And apparently there's a second wave, and that is where Ladlad comes in. The second wave is gay literature coming out of the closet. And Ladlad means that, coming out of the closet. So basically, these are literary works by gay men for gay men about gay themes. So obviously, gay literature. So examples, for example, again, a book by Danton Remoto, Skin, Voices, Faces, a novel like Out of Doors by Ernesto Supirali, Pink Men in Love and Other Stories, a collection by Gerardo Z. Torres, and of course, we have lesbian books as well. Tibok, Heartbeat of the Filipino Lesbian, which came out in 1998. So obviously gay stories written by gay people for gay people. Okay, that's the second wave of gay literature. But Jezreel said that there's actually a third wave. What is the third wave? Let's go to the next slide. The third, before going to the third wave, for me actually, Jaime and Lim, who comes from my own hometown, for me embodies actually the first wave and the second wave of gay literature in the Philippines. Because if you take a look at his poetry, like Relative Distance, you can obviously sense a gayness there, but he was still in the closet at the time and he was actually married. And that particular poem actually talks about a man who is unhappy with his marriage. He does not say so, but obviously the reason why he was unhappy is because he is married to a woman. Okay, so A Relative Distance, a poem by him. And then later on in Ladlad 1, he actually came out with a short story titled Hedonicos. And there you'll find a short story about a young boy who goes to a bathhouse. So obviously gay. So in the person of Jaime and Lim, you could really see the bridge between the first wave and the second wave. Hidden, closeted in the first wave, now out in the second wave. So this is Jaime and Lim. Let's go to the third slide. And of course, the third wave, like I said, is really the mainstreaming of gay literature. Here you find gay stories, but the gayness is no longer the central theme. The characters just happen to be gay. But the stories are all about other things like spirituality, like whatever, politics, whatever. The characters just happen to be gay, but being gay is not central to the story itself. They just happen to be gay. And we have examples of that, like the poetry collection of El Lacambra Ipil titled The Highest Hiding Place, fantasy book like Si Jano Silang at Ang Labanang Mananggal Mambabarang by Egay Samar, a novel like Segundo Matias, Mga Batang Paws, and this is by Yvette Tan is not gay, but she has one horror story here about a gay couple adopting a baby who happens to be a monster. Okay, so Waking the Dead by Yvette Tan. So the mainstreaming of gay literature, the gayness is no longer the center, but the characters are queer. So let's go to the next slide. So I think my next slide is about my own literature. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is my first collection. It's titled Beautiful Accidents, and obviously from the picture with those luscious lips, guys. Oh my God! Obviously, it's gay. It really, I meant for this to be, to be like a beacon for gay people. This looks nice. I will buy this book. So Beautiful Accidents is really my first collection of short stories, and a lot of the stories there are really, really gay. So this is my coming out of Ladlad 3. Now my own collection of gay short stories, Beautiful Accidents. Next slide. This is me in my most adventurous. This is still me trying to do the second wave. This one is actually my collection of erotica, okay? Because there was a period between 2012 and 2017 where I couldn't really write my regular short stories, but there was only one type of fiction that made me be able to write, and that was sex stories, gay erotica. So I was churning out a lot of gay erotica between those years because I couldn't write anything else, but I was perfectly aware that I will not be able to publish them in magazines or submit them to literary competitions because, again, they're filled with sex. So I compiled a lot of my gay erotica and I said, I cannot publish this anywhere. Maybe the thing to do is put them together in a book and put it out in book form. So don't tell anyone, literary smut. This is my experiment in doing sex stories with a very literary bent, okay? So I will still consider this literature is very, very hard to do. How to do sex stories, but make them literary, try it, it's very, very difficult. So this is me trying to do that. And for me, still an example of second wave, coming out, because second wave coming out is all about identity, gay identity, and also about sex. And lastly, I have my book. This is what I'm trying to work on right now, Where You Are Is Not Here. It's about gay people all over the world, in Berlin, in Singapore, in Thailand. But their gayness is just, it's just part of them. But the stories are all about something else, like politics, identity. And this is me trying to do the third wave of gay literature in the Philippines, the mainstreaming of gay literature. So thank you there very much. Time's up.
Thank you. Thank you, Ian. Our next speaker, Blaise Gacoscos, was born in Candon, Ilocos Sur in 1968. He earned his Bachelor of Arts in Comparative Literature from the University of the Philippines, Diliman. And he is a fellow of the UP National Writers Summer Workshop. He won third prize at the Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Award for Literature for his one-act play titled Daguan sa Ulan. He finished his Master of Arts in Creative Writing also in UP Diliman. Blaise, you have 8 minutes.
Good morning, everyone. I just realized now that my book is part of the third wave because the gayness is not the centrality of the novel. So, Kites in the Night, a novel, published in 2022 by Ateneo de Manila University Press. It's about Victor Molina, who comes of age, grows up, was born in Ilocos, grows up in Ilocos, and then moves to Manila to study and work. And then this is a composite novel, so it's composed of 8 chapters, stand-alone stories. So in each of these stories, Victor Molina, the character, undergoes experiences, epiphanies. So there are realizations from here and there as the novel progresses to the end. Next slide, please. Oh, okay. This is the title of this story chapter is The Garlic Peeler. This is when Victor goes to the city to audition for a scholarship, but he fails because an inferior contestant got his slot. Okay, when I write stories, I imagine a strong emotion. I imagine an experience in the past that could be that would elicit either sadness, disappointment, or disgust. So in this case, it's about palakasan, which is, what's palakasan in English? He's a victim of power politics. Thank you. So in the end, he didn't get the scholarship. But Victor moved on. So when I was in elementary, we auditioned. My father and I went to the CIS Cultural Center of the Philippines, and I auditioned for piano there. And then a girl there auditioned also, but then I failed. So after college, I took up comparative literature, and then after college, I planned to go back to music, so I auditioned for the conservatory. I passed the audition, and then I was able to meet someone, a batchmate of the Philippines High School for the Arts. So when I met him, he said, we're supposed to have been batchmates if I just passed the audition, and he said, my teacher said that there were only 2 boys who auditioned there. And then he said, did you play this piece? And I was shocked because I played that piece. And so there was a little bit sadness there, but at the same time, maybe it wasn't meant to be. So it was a good story material. So that's a story there. Next slide, please. When I became an entertainment reporter in the Philippines. So I was befriended by a talent manager who was very kind, but at the same time who was very controlling. And the strong emotion that I can remember then was when the talent manager died. I saw him on TV. His coffin was was made as a backdrop of a TV show. And that for me was kind of disappointing. So I wrote the talent manager, beginning with the death of the talent manager. Next slide, please. This one is called "The Man with a Mobile Phone." I took up my graduate studies in UP, and I met a classmate there who was also working on creative writing. And then she said she would invite me. She would invite me out and tell me that let's have a drink after the class, etc. So I go out with her, and then all of a sudden somebody comes in with us without my permission. So okay. At first I was okay. So I don't know him, but they were friends. They were former classmates. So I was just there looking at them, and then a few weeks after or a month after, she would ask me again to go out with her, and then we would drink again. And then suddenly another man would come in, and she would invite with a group. So on the third attempt, I already said, no, I'm not going with you. I refused to answer the call anymore. So it was like the agenda was different. She was not really a friend. The agenda was really for me, for accompany me. So because she's married, and she was dating all these other guys who were married also. So I was there just to make it seem like we were in a group date, where in fact I was being used. So in an international gathering, she came to me and she had me signed my, okay. Anyway, so the last one, okay, so this is my novel. It was translated in Germany by Albin Verlag, my publisher. Christian Lutjens is here. So it's Der Jung aus Ilocos, The Boy from Ilocos. They changed the title from Kites in the Night. And then the other one is a Greek translation also, but it's also Kites in the Night. It's not available there, but the Der Jung Ilocos is available for sale outside. I'm just happy because Der Jung Ilocos has been receiving good reviews in Frankfurt. So I'm just grateful. Thank you.
And the final speaker for this panel, Chuckberry Pascual, is a novelist, short story writer, and translator. He is the author of the novels Mars, Watch Out for Zombies, Mars, Watch Out for More Zombies, and The Vanishing Village, and the short story collections A Country of Corpses and The Vanished. He has also authored an ethnography, literary criticism, and literary history, such as Entering the Scene, the movie theater in Philippine literature, and a study of selected movie theaters in Recto. What is most important, and the outsider in literature. He translated into Filipino 4 short story collections by Cristina Pantoja Hidalgo and Miguel C. Juco's Man-Asian prize-winning novel, Ilustrado. Most of his works have been finalists and winners at the National Book Awards, Gintong Aklat Awards, and National Children's Book Awards. You have 8 minutes.
Thank you. Good morning, everyone. So my presentation will try to explore the current landscape of Philippine queer literature. Okay. I will start with anthologies, and then I will go to the solo works by Filipino writers. The formal emergence of queer literature in the Philippines may be traced back to 1994 with the publication of Ladlad, as mentioned by Mr. Danton Remoto earlier, edited by him and J. Neil Garcia. This landmark collection was followed by sequels, Ladlad 2, Ladlad 3, and The Best of Ladlad, as we saw earlier. And the first anthology of lesbian works came out in 1998, titled Tibok, Heartbeat of the Filipino Lesbian, an anthology edited by Ana Lea Sarabia. The next queer-themed anthology came out in 2011, titled, I will just translate the title for you, Eggplant / Muscle, Homoerotic Stories. edited by Rolando Tolentino, Romulo Baquiran, Joy Barrios, and Michael Andrada. This anthology signaled a loosening, if not a broadening of categories, because the more encompassing term homoerotic allowed for the inclusion of both gay and lesbian stories within a single volume. And then Jezreel Garcia's Aura, the gay theme in Philippine fiction in English, was published in 2012 and further expanded the field by offering a historical perspective and including works by non-queer writers. More recently, there has been a notable production of queer anthologies that are not Manila-centric. The Libulan Binisaya Anthology of Queer Literature, edited by Alton Melvar Dapanas and Roel Joseph Dazo, was published in 2018. It featured the works of established and emerging queer writers from the southern Philippines. The second volume, Libulan 2, Binisayang Antolohiya sa Katitikang Queer, edited by Roel Joseph Dazo and Jezreel E. Hilbuena, came out this year. There's also BKL Bicol, Anthology of Bicolnon, Gay, Trans, Queer Writing, edited by Ryan Paul Sumayo and Jaya Jacobo. That one, it came out in 2019. Through the efforts of Jezreel Garcia, one of the editors of Ladlad, 2 editions of the Global Grace UP National LGBTQ Writers Workshop, a workshop exclusively for queer literature, have been held. These workshops produced 2 anthologies. Busilak, this one, Busilak, in English it's Immaculate, no? New LGBTQ Poetry from the Philippines. It was published in 2020. And Lamyos, or loosely translated, Sweet, New LGBTQ Fiction from the Philippines, published in 2021. It was also in 2021 that Tingle, an anthology of Pinay lesbian writing, edited by Joanna Lynn Cruz, and Wildfire, Filipina writings by Gantala Press, were released. Both are anthologies of lesbian literary works. In 2022, Rolando Tolentino and I co-edited 2 anthologies. Those are the ones with plus signs, titled Plus and Other Pluses, Multitude, New Philippine Fiction and New Philippine Nonfiction on Sexual Orientations and Gender Identities. These anthologies place an emphasis on the plus sign to be more inclusive and to give space to the existence of a plurality of sexualities and identities. And just last year, a collective of young queer writers came out with their own anthology published by the University of the Philippines Press. It's titled Kinaiya, New Voices from the LGBTQ. Now, from this list, it is evident that numerous queer literary anthologies have been published, although their appearance remains sporadic. Only 15 volumes have come out since 1994, one of which is a compilation of earlier works, which is The Best of Ladlad, and one does not focus on the queer identities of the writers, which is Aura, and only 3 center on lesbian literature, Tibok, Tingle, and Wildfire, and only 3 deal with regional queer representation, which is BKL, Bicol, Libulan 1 and 2. It's also noticeable that works by gay writers, by gay men, far outnumber those by lesbians in these anthologies. It also took 23 years before the first anthology of lesbian works had a follow-up. Other identities in the queer spectrum have not been yet represented adequately. For the solo works, next slide please. Relative to anthologies, the solo production of Filipino queer writers appears more robust, though it remains a smaller body of work compared to quote-unquote heterosexual literature. The 1990s, as mentioned by Ian earlier, marked a key period, opening with Tony Perez's 1990 novel titled Cubao 1980, the first cry of gay liberation movement in the Philippines. It's a novel in Filipino. And then this decade also saw poetry collections from foundational figures like Neil Garcia, Closet Quivers, Our Lady of the Carnival, Danton Remoto, Skin Voices Faces, and Nicolas Pichay, who is in the audience right now, I think, with this poetry collection, Ang Lunes na Mahirap Bunuin. Okay. As well as a short story collection by Honorio Bartolome de Dios, Sa Labas ng Parlor, in English, Outside the Parlor. The succeeding decades have witnessed a proliferation of books that focus on queer experiences and feature queer protagonists. Notable examples are, next slide please. Yan. Joanna Lynn Cruz with her memoir titled Abinako, or So I Thought. Joanna Lynn Cruz is a lesbian writer. Shane Carrion, travel book, poetry collection. I think Shane identifies as a trans individual. And then Andeline Feje, another lesbian writer, titled Let's Start with the Pronoun. No, that's its translation in English. And then Danton Remoto with River Run. Blaise Gacoscos with Kites in the Night. Ian Rosales Casocot with Beautiful Accidents. Ned Parfan with Murmur Asylum. My work, no, The Vanished. And John Jack Wigley with his memoir, Falling into the Manhole. And Ricky Lee, a national artist for film and broadcast, with his novels, Amapola in 65 characters, featuring a manananggal or a viscera sucker as its protagonist. And his novel, which was released last year, titled Half a Rainbow. I think it was translated by Danton Remoto in English. And also, a genre of mass market queer books has also emerged, catering to a wider audience. These include numerous essay collections on gay life like Mascula Doll and Paminta X. Next slide, please. And then memoirs such as Art Santa Ana's He's Dating the Transgender. And then Jake Zyrus's I Am Jake. Jake Zyrus is a popular singer in the Philippines who is a trans man. And then the erotic anthology, Don't Tell Anyone, Literary Smut, no, by Ian Rosales Casocot and Shakira Season. And then romance novels like H. Bentham's Kiss Away the Goodbye. Next slide, please. Yeah, these are those meant for the mass audience. And all these works by queer writers feature the experiences of the Filipino queer community, showcasing diverse identities, personal and power relations, depicting contemporary society in its various manifestations across different parts of the country, and continually imagining the possibility of a better future for all genders. And they all aim to give the reader, whether a member of the queer community or not, a new perspective on their surroundings and the people that they encounter. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. And now it's your turn to speak. It's the Q&A. Are there any questions? Please signal to the people who will have microphones. So we're taking questions now from the audience. But if we need time to warm up, may I just ask all our speakers, can you give us something that stands out to you in terms of the reception of your work? Is there anything memorable, good or bad, about stories about the reception of your work through the years, whether in the early times or even up to now? We'll start with you, please, Danton.
Yeah, as I said earlier, in the 1990s, many of these gay men would buy Ladlad and cover them with, like brown paper because their parents would scold them or disown them. So Ladlad was a book that was also a companion. They would put the book under their pillows at night. So some Filipino Catholics at night would pray the rosary and the gay men would read Ladlad, no? So that's what happened then. And then when I went around in different countries, the Filipinos overseas, they even brought copies of Ladlad, the gay book, wherever they went to remind them of home. And maybe to remind how far and different home in the Philippines is to the liberal, open atmosphere you have here. In the Philippines, there's no gay marriage, there's no gender equality, there's no Marriage Equality Act, no? So we cannot get married. So what we did is we have all these towns and cities that have municipal laws because the national law is not there, no?
Mine is mostly positive, actually. The first time I published a short story that was obviously gay in a magazine, I was scared. I was telling people, it's just fiction, although it was actually quite autobiographical, but I was telling everyone, it's just fiction, it's just fiction. And then I kind of found out nga, my friends didn't really care that I was writing a gay story, so that actually gave me permission to really explore my sexuality in my fiction because it was just in my head, the fear. Maybe for some writers, there were some, I don't know, maybe some reaction against them writing these kinds of stories. But in my case, it was mostly positive.
Yeah. Same thing with me, especially here in Germany. I had about more than 10 reviews already, I think, Christian, and they've been so positive. But what I can say about the Greek review was they didn't want it labeled as queer literature. They didn't want it labeled as queer literature. One critic said that you don't need to label it as queer literature because you're trying to humanize the life of a gay person. So the universality of suffering and pain is felt by everyone. So you don't need to label them.
Basing it on Blaise's answer, I'd just like to share that my first book came out in 2015, and it's a collection of short stories about the queer experience, and it was published by a Catholic university press. So that in itself is already proof of how much has changed since the 1990s. But I had another book in 2017. It's a queer mystery book. With a queer trans woman detective figure, The Vanished. And it was through that book that more people got to know me. But I felt that I had to tell the audience that it's a queer book and it's not just a mystery book. Because I felt like people were glossing over the fact that it's a queer text. Which is both a good thing and sometimes a bad thing, I think. No? Because if one tends to look at it as just another mystery novel, then the specificity of the queer experience can kind of get lost in it. So I felt like I had to remind some people that, hey, my character is queer, and this story can only happen because my character is queer.
Can I follow up? Because Chuckberry actually just reminded me of something. My book, Beautiful Accidents, was supposed to be published by that Catholic University Press. And then there was some controversy about a gay artist in CCP, and then it was very controversial, and they got scared that my book might add to the fire. So that Catholic University Press actually handed over the manuscript to the State University Press, and the editing was done, the cover was done, so the State University Press was actually the one that came out with it because your Catholic University Press didn't want to have anything to do with my book anymore because of that controversy. So there's that particular...
It's only a 3-year difference, right?
Danton, yes, please.
Just short, it's also a matter of marketing, especially now we're going global, guys. We're now global, no? So the Philippines is great, but there's a bigger marketplace outside. In the US, I have several gay books with Penguin, River Run, Boys Love, and Heart of Summer. My books in the US are categorized as queer romance, gay books. But in the UK, I love the British, they call it literary fiction. Whoa! Yeah.
Let's talk about the cover of your books. They're paintings of Marcel, right? Can you tell us a little bit about that? Because what's the relationship? Because you're always using Marcel, and
Yeah, okay. I didn't know Marcel from Adam, but I love the paintings of his mother, Norma, and his father, Angelito. The father just died recently. And I'm a fan of Marcel. So I texted, I got the number from an artist friend of a mutual art friend of ours. And then I said, Marcel, I'm a big fan of yours. Can you do the cover of my first book? And then give me the manuscript. So Marcel reads. So he reads, and then I sent him the manuscript. And after a week, he replied and said, "Yeah, I'm going to do this." So he did the first one. The Der Jung Osilocos was not the first. Actually, was not the first cover. The Greek version was the first cover. Was the first painting, the blue one, and then he tried to change it, and then he did another painting. Okay. Also, all the illustrations inside the Kites in the Night were done by Marcel. So What else? Wait, I'm trying
So
to...
he made them specifically out of the
Yeah,
literature.
their Jung Osilocos was titled Kites in the Night. They're all even before it was published, they were already sold. All his illustrations were sold.
So
So thank you to Marcel.
we see that you've come a long way. Would you say that that was an organic evolution, or were there support mechanisms in place that help move that process along? And if that is the case, how can that be done for the other groups in the spectrum? So I'll address that to you, Chuck.
I think for a time, because I think I identify with the third wave, no, of gay writing in the Philippines, and for a time when I was still in college, some of my professors told me that some of them discouraged me from writing queer fiction because they said that it's already been done. Ladlad has already been there. So you can't do anything more, no, about what else can you say about the gay experience? Now, basically, that's what he told me. One of my professors told me. But I obviously did not listen to my teachers, and I still stuck to my guns and wrote about everything queer. And I really did for a time think that it was already passé. Some even called it post-Ladlad. What else can you say about being gay? But then again, with things happened in society, in history, and in 2016 we had the president who spoke publicly about against the queer community, and I think that somehow helped galvanize the need for queer writers to register their experiences on paper even more. And so because of that, I think even, of course, with the help of the publishers who are progressive and believe that the queer experience is deserving of being read by everyone and not just by fellow queer people, more queer titles are being produced. And I think one proof of this is the fact that I have a young adult novel which features a queer protagonist. Now it's titled the zombie novels, young adult zombie novels. So I think it would have been unthinkable before, but now they get read by young adults, and sometimes even the parents themselves buy these books for their children, which was really unthinkable before.
And how about the second question? How about the other groups in this? Yeah.
Also, there's an attempt to further broaden the publication of to represent more identities in the spectrum. And this can be gleaned in the anthologies, like the Plus anthology and in the Kinaiya anthology. And there's also this move to publish more writings by trans people, specifically writings about the trans experience by trans people themselves, instead of the older texts wherein cisgender people wrote about the experiences of the trans people.
Do we have any questions from the audience? Yes, please. Yes. Microphone, and then prepare also for the other mic.
Thank you for the interesting talk. I just wanted to ask maybe each of you. You mentioned several novels and kind of got a historic perception of the gay literature in your country. Can you name a title that influenced your own writing or which encouraged you to live openly queer or gay or whatever you call yourself, which I think is the core of gay literature in a way, that people find characters that they can identify with. So do you have personal favorites in the books you named, or even other ones? Maybe each of you?
With Beautiful Accidents, there are gay stories there, but I feel that with my stories in that first book that I had, I was still fumbling around with my identity. I was just trying to define myself. So I like the stories there, but for me, in terms of queer storytelling, I really like my sex book, Don't Tell Anyone, because that was where I kind of really, I made myself raw. I made myself really try to get deep into the psyche of being a gay man with his sexuality, with his identity. And for the most part, Yes, it was very very autobiographical. So I really had to dig deep into my life. So the stories in that sex book, that literary smut, Don't Tell Anyone, for me, those are my favorite queer stories. Especially a story titled Compartments. Because I once fell in love with a boy who said, "Don't fall in love with me. Let's compartmentalize ourselves." So I got inspired by what he told me and wrote it in a story.
Wait,
Yes.
sorry.
I'll definitely look it up. I just meant, but by another writer.
Yeah, who inspired you?
We're not a
Yeah, what
writer.
writing
That
inspired?
influenced
An
yourself,
influence.
except from your own.
Basically Ladlad 1. Like I said, when I read that book by Danton and by Janil Garcia, that was, for me, yeah, it was groundbreaking for me.
Yeah.
Like I said, it gave me permission.
Yeah. Before I call the others to say what book inspired them, is it okay if I collect all the questions and then I call you each one and we answer?
That's so confusing for a senior
Okay, we
citizen
don't
like
have
me.
time. Okay, go, okay.
I'm 62
Okay.
years old.
All right,
I
I
answer
follow you.
short
Go,
lang
go, go.
naman eh.
All right, go.
Okay, what's the question?
What book inspired you?
Oh,
The
answer
work
very
of others,
briefly.
yes.
A Boy's Own Story by Edmund White. It was winter in Scotland. It was very cold. And I thought nobody liked me, so I read the novels, no? That's all.
Blaise?
Well, when I wrote the novel, I wasn't thinking of really gender. I was more on concentrated on the art of fiction writing. So I actually, well, I can name a few, but I'm not sure if they're gay. John McGahern, Irish writer. William Trevor, Yasunari Kawabata, Ernest Hemingway, Chekhov. So I don't know if they're gays.
All right. And Chuckberry, sorry.
I'm going to mention two titles. One was written by a woman writer because I really read a lot of women writers before reading gay men. This is a novel by Luwalhati Bautista. It's entitled Blackmail. It was marketed as a romance novel, but really it was something more. It's about white slavery in the Philippines. And I read that when I was 10 and I had nightmares after reading that novel. But that was the first time that I felt that the power of literature. And then the gay novel that I think was formative to me was Tony Perez's Cubao 1980. It has been criticized by some academics because they felt that there was a mistake in using the perspective of a straight man in telling the story of a queer relationship set in Cubao, Quezon City. But I think the prose is powerful, and it was the first time that I read something like that and really blew my mind.
So we have two questions.
To
lined up.
properly answer the question,
Oh.
I'll just say James Baldwin with Giovanni's Room. That really inspired me. And Call Me By Your Name by Andre Asimov. That was my inspiration to write Don't Tell Anyone.
Thank you. Two questions. Yes, one, and then you're the next. Oh, okay, go ahead. Yes.
I noticed that there is no lesbian writer included in the panel. Is this less accepted in the Philippines? I would like to know the reason why.
Oh, they were all raising their hands. Go, go, go. Yes, please.
You know, we keep on, for Ladlad, they're all my friends. I founded the first political party for LGBT in the Philippines and in the world. It's called Ladlad. I always tell them to, hey, please write, you know. And for this panel, I think a lesbian writer was invited, but she chose not to come, no? So with the Philippines now, I think it's a more open society. And when we were doing this, said, we need a transgender, but we couldn't find a right. There's one, but he didn't want to, because of the Palestinian thing, you know.
Yeah. Because
Actually, during our Zoom meeting about this panel, we actually talked about that. How come there's no lesbian in the panel? It's just that they didn't want to come.
Yeah, and also historically speaking, there's really been less output by lesbian writers. There's only been 2 anthologies of lesbian works, and so far, I think, as far as I know, only 2 solo anthologies by lesbian writers. Woman on Fire by Joanna Lynn Cruz, and then there's the one that just recently came out, Let's Start with the Pronoun by Andeline Feje. And there's another one, I think hopefully it will come out this year. It's titled Naratibo by Bernadette Villanueva Neri. So I think lesbian expression is more prevalent in Philippine cinema rather than in Philippine literature.
Yes, we have a question.
It was along the same lines, actually. So I first read Ladlad when I was a first-year college student in Ateneo because there was no other erotic writing. So there I was, a straight young girl reading about, gay men having sex. And I thought, where are all the women who are, where are the women writing about their experiences? So I'm wondering if you think that watershed moment still has to happen for lesbian and or women's, openly sexual literature in the Philippines. And do you have any thoughts on what could still bring that about?
Use your mics,
When my classmate in publishing school in Scotland was Tina Koyugan. We came from Catholic schools, no? So I made the first gay anthology with Neil, and Tina made the first erotic anthology. So a Catholic education is, I think, the best preparation for these books, no? So to answer your question, ma'am, when Tina was making the erotic anthology, she found it difficult to look for writers like the senior ones, the older ones. They said, oh, I tried to write an erotic story, but the moment I wrote about them taking off their clothes, I could not. Because of the Catholic upbringing, I think, no? Me, I had to write my gay fiction in Scotland, no? So cold.
There's one anthology that came out, what Danton was mentioning. It's entitled Forbidden Fruit. It came out in early 90s. And it's supposed to be a collection of erotic stories written by women. But they're not, they read differently from the kind of erotica written by gay men or by straight men. So...
In fact, if I remember correctly, one male critic said they were not erotic enough.
Okay, wait.
More cerebral.
Hello.
Cerebral.
Okay, I wrote an article about gay men and gay women in the Philippines a long time ago. And gay women talked about how gay men, because they're men, have the kind of status and in Philippine society that gay women do not have access to. They can get rich, they can go up the ladder, but gay women suffer a kind of, so they're systemically repressed, and maybe that is why it hasn't happened yet. That's all.
And, go ahead.
Briefly, because he also organized protest marches. We would invite the lesbians and everybody. And I would interview the common people. They said, oh, Danton, gays are okay. But women, this is like 1980s. Women should be women. They should bear children. All this shit, So we tried to change that. Because in the Philippines, you're a woman and you're a lesbian. That's a double bind. So I wish there's a lesbian here talking for themselves, no. But I in the Philippines, they call me the honorary lesbian, no. I attend all the lesbian meetings and all the transgender meetings in my youth, no. But now I'm a bit old. So I would tell them to please write books, please organize yourselves, please speak for yourselves, please fight for yourselves, no.
And with that, our time is up. I just want to finish by saying, our speakers here have shown that they have come a long way, and we should celebrate that. But during the Q&A, we realized there's still a long way to go, especially for the women writers. But I also realized we really feel that with the boycott, we've lost half of our voice. And we feel that here. And some of you have co-authors who are pro-boycott who are not here. And there is something there that we have to write through. But let us not let that take away from how far you've come and how much has been achieved since that landmark work. All it needs really is for one book to make that break, and then we show it can be done and the generations follow. Thank you very much to all of our speakers. You've also been wonderful. Thank you.